Liam stood straight, trying not to sweat through his uniform. The throne room of the Alari Empire was too quiet, too clean, and far too bright. Tall, blue-glassed windows lined the walls, and strange glowing plants gave off a soft hum. Everything felt to perfect dot. In front of him stood Queen Silvara, tall and graceful with long silver hair that floated like it was underwater. Her skin shimmered with silver lines that moved slowly across her face and hands. She wore a robe that sparkled like the stars, and her eyes looked like they had never blinked in centuries. Liam had been sent from Earth as a diplomatic representative. No weapons, no army, just a voice and some polite words. The mission was simple: make peace, sign the agreement, and come home. But nothing about this mission felt simple. The Queen had barely spoken for the past 10 minutes. Liam had just finished explaining Earth's hopes for trade and peace. She had stared at him the whole time, calm and silent. Her council members stood behind her like statues, cold and unreadable. Liam's throat felt dry. He looked down at the data pad in his hand and said, that's pretty much everything. We're hoping this will be the start of something. Nice. Still silence. He laughed nervously. Well, if that works for you, sweetie, I mean. Your Highness. He froze. His heart dropped. Time stopped. Did he just call the Galactic Queen of the Alari Empire sweetie? Yes, he did. He looked up, eyes wide. The entire court stared at him. A few guards even reached for their weapons. But then, something strange happened. The Queen's eyes widened a little. Her lips parted just slightly. Her face, normally calm like polished stone, changed. A soft color, almost like pink, touched her cheeks. She blinked. The court held its breath. Queen Silvara spoke, her voice soft. Curious. Say that again. Liam's mouth opened, but no sound came out. He looked around. No one moved. The guards were frozen. The nobles were stunned. Even the glowing plants seemed to dim a little. The Queen tilted her head. Human, she said again, this time louder. Say it again. Liam swallowed. I didn't mean anything bad. I was nervous. Sometimes humans use little words like that. It just slipped out. The Queen took a step forward. Her long robe slid across the smooth floor with a quiet swish. She stopped just a few feet away from him. Sweetie, she repeated, softly. It sounded gentle. Is that a human term of care? Liam nodded, confused. Yes, I mean, it can mean many things. Sometimes it's used for family, friends, or someone you care about. Sometimes it's just something people say without thinking. She looked thoughtful. No one has ever called me something like that. Sorry, do not be. Her voice was different now, lighter, softer. Her guards looked at each other, confused. The court remained quiet, unsure what to do next. The Queen turned to her advisors. We will take a short recess. The human and I will speak alone. A few nobles looked shocked. One even opened his mouth to object, but her sharp glance silenced him. Soon, the great room emptied, leaving only Liam and Queen Silvara. The silence between them stretched out. Finally, the Queen walked toward the tall glass window and looked out into the stars. I was trained from birth never to show emotion, she said. To rule with logic. Kindness was seen as weakness. Affection was unnecessary. Liam stayed quiet, unsure what to say. Yet you, a human, walked in here and used a word so soft, so unfamiliar. She turned her head slightly. Why, I don't know, Liam admitted. You look so serious. I wanted to say something friendly. I guess I forgot where I was. She gave a small smile just for a moment. I didn't forget. For the first time in centuries, I felt something real. I felt embarrassed, not because of shame, but because I liked how it sounded. Liam blinked. Really? Yes, she said. But it is strange. I don't understand why. Tell me more about these human words, these ways of affection. Liam chuckled, relaxing a bit. Well, we have a lot of them, sweetie, honey, darling, babe. Some are for romance, some are just friendly. The Queen nodded slowly, as if she were learning a new language. And you use them freely? Sometimes too freely, he admitted. And this, sweetie, Do you use it often? Liam scratched his head. Honestly, I haven't used it in years. It just slipped out. Queen Silvara looked at him, then stepped closer. I want you to say it again, she said. Not because you must, but because I want to hear how it sounds when it is meant. Liam smiled nervously. All right, sweetie. The queen closed her eyes for a second. When she opened them, they were softer than before. Thank you, human. It's Liam. Then thank you. Liam, he nodded. You're welcome, queen. Sweetie, she laughed an actual laugh, light and quiet, like a breeze in the stars. For the first time, the ice between human and queen had cracked, and neither of them knew what that would mean for the galaxy. Liam didn't sleep that night. He lay on the soft alien bed, staring at the ceiling made of glowing crystal threads. Everything still felt unreal. Did he really call the queen sweetie? And did she actually ask him to say it again? He thought about her smile, the way her voice had changed. It wasn't cold anymore. It had warmth, curiosity, maybe even something gentler than that. He rubbed his face. What the heck is happening? He whispered. Meanwhile, in the upper tower of the palace, Queen Silvara sat at her personal desk. She dismissed all her guards and turned on a private learning system. The screen showed a human cultural database that had been sent to her months ago, but never opened. Now, she searched for words like sweetie, pet name, and human expressions of affection. As she read, her silver-marked fingers touched her lips. She didn't know why, but that one word had shaken her more than any war, betrayal, or alliance ever had. She wasn't angry. She wasn't insulted. She had been seen. And it scared her. The next morning, Liam was summoned again, but this time not to the throne room. He was led through the palace garden, where trees sparkled with soft light and the air smelled like sweet spice. A small table was set beside a water fountain. The queen sat alone, wearing a simple robe instead of her heavy royal gown. Liam stopped a few steps away. You asked for me, Your Highness. She looked up and gave a light nod. Yes. Please sit. He hesitated but obeyed. She poured him a drink, light blue and fizzing gently. This is a morning nectar, safe for humans. Liam took a careful sip. It's sweet, fitting, she said, giving him a small smile. Liam, yesterday, when you used that word, was it truly an accident? He nodded. Completely. I was nervous. It just came out. Back on Earth, people use those kinds of words all the time. Sometimes for friends, sometimes for someone they like. The queen looked at her hands. And do you, like me? Liam choked on his drink. What? I am not offended, she said calmly. I only ask because I have never been called anything soft. I have been called powerful, dangerous, wise, but never something that made me feel warm. Liam cleared his throat. I didn't mean it romantically, but I do think you're strong, intelligent, and maybe a little lonely. The queen blinked slowly. You are honest. Most are not. I'm just a guy from Earth. Honesty is kind of all I have. They sat in silence for a moment. Then she said, Some in the court believe I am losing strength because I allowed you to call me that. Liam frowned. They think kindness is weakness, yes, but you reminded me that it is not. He smiled. You're welcome, sweetie. The queen laughed again. Her shoulders relaxed, and for once, she didn't look like a queen, just a woman who hadn't smiled in a long time. What they didn't know was that they were being watched. In the tall tower above the garden, Lord Varine stood with narrowed eyes. He was one of the oldest advisors in the court and a strong believer in tradition. He had served the queen's mother and her grandmother before her, and he didn't like what he saw. The human is making her soft. He whispered. Beside him stood Lady Rinna, another noble, her face tight with worry. She laughed. She has never laughed like that. This cannot continue, Varine said. The empire must not fall into weakness. What will you do? I will remind her who she is. Back in the garden, the queen stood and motioned for Liam to walk with her. They passed glowing flowers and trees that shifted colors as they moved. Birds with clear wings hummed above their heads. Liam, I wish to ask you something strange, she said. Go ahead. Will you teach me how to be less royal? He blinked. You want to act more like a human? Not exactly. I want to understand how your people show kindness, how they laugh, how they speak without shields. Liam thought for a second. We could start with some simple things, casual greetings, friendly jokes, maybe even a nickname. A nickname, yeah, like a short, personal name. It shows closeness. The Queen looked curious. What would mine be? Liam scratched his head. Well, calling you sweetie was already a surprise. But if I had to pick something personal, maybe Sylvie. She repeated it softly. Sylvie, he smiled. Just between us. Never in court. She nodded. Thank you. Liam, they kept walking until a palace guard rushed toward them. Your Highness. The guard bowed. Lord Varine requests your presence. He says it is urgent. The Queen's expression shifted. The warmth faded slightly. Very well. She looked at Liam. Will you wait for me here? Of course. Sylvie. She paused. Smiled gently, then followed the guard back into the palace. Liam watched her go, not knowing that things were about to change. And somewhere deep in the shadows of the Empire, someone had just decided that the human had gotten too close to the Queen. Queen Silvara walked into the council chamber with quiet strength. The tall silver doors closed behind her. Inside, the air was colder, heavier. Her 12 advisors stood waiting, all wearing long robes with bright golden symbols. At the front was Lord Varine, his face calm, but his eyes sharp. You call me urgently. The Queen said, Yes, Your Majesty. Lord Varine replied, bowing. We are concerned about the human. The Queen kept her face neutral. What concern? He is not one of us, Varine said. Yet he walks freely in the royal garden. He shares private talks with you. This is unheard of. Earth is now our ally, she replied. He is their chosen representative. He is more than that, Varine said, stepping forward. He called you something no one dares to. And you smiled. A whisper moved through the room. Several advisors looked down. I smiled. The Queen said calmly, because I was not treated like a weapon or a throne. He spoke to me like I was a person. Your people look to you as a symbol of power. Lady Rena added, if you change that image, they may question your rule. The Queen's silver-lined eyes looked over the council. Are you afraid? Because I smiled or because I remembered I am still alive? The room went silent. You may return to your duties, she said. The council bowed and slowly left. But Varine lingered a second longer. Be careful, Your Majesty, he said quietly. Kindness can bring warmth or weakness. She watched him go, her face unreadable, though inside she felt something stirring. In the guests' quarters, Liam was enjoying a bowl of fruit that tasted like mint and apples. He sat near the balcony, watching strange alien birds chase each other through the sky. The door chimed. He stood as the guards entered. The Queen requests your presence in the training hall, one said. Training hall? Liam asked. Follow us. He shrugged and followed. The training hall was a wide room with a shiny black floor and floating targets. Beams of light circled the area. Queen Silvara stood in the center wearing lighter armor and holding a staff. Liam. Stop. Are we fighting? She smiled. Not exactly. I want to teach you the way we move, and you will teach me your human ways. He raised an eyebrow. Like dancing? She gave a small laugh. Something like that. She handed him a practice staff. He held it awkwardly. Okay, but I should warn you, I'm bad at sports. The lesson began. The Queen showed him slow, graceful moves. Her feet barely touched the ground. Liam tried to follow, but stumbled. After a few minutes, he laughed at himself. I look like a confused tree. The Queen smiled. You're improving. He grinned. You're just being sweet. She paused. Then you must call me that again. He chuckled. You're really holding on to that one, huh? She stepped closer, her voice softer. Because when you say it, it feels real. He lowered the staff and looked into her eyes. All right, you're sweet, Sylvie. She smiled again. But the moment was broken when a loud alarm echoed across the palace. Both of them turned toward the sound. Guards rushed in. Your Highness, someone tried to breach the communication room. The Queen's calm face changed to something colder. Seal the palace. Find who did it. Liam followed as she marched through the halls. The warmth from their training vanished. Her steps were sharp, her voice quick and strong. In the security room, guards showed a recording. A shadowed figure had entered a restricted zone and planted something on the wall. Before disappearing, "Who is it?" Silvara asked. "We don't know yet," a guard said. But it was someone with access to the royal level. Liam stood in the back, feeling out of place. Silvara turned to him. "You must stay in your quarters until this is resolved." He nodded, understood. As he walked away, he passed Lord Varine in the hall. The old advisor looked at him with cool eyes. "I hope you understand the damage you are doing." Varine said. Liam stopped. "I didn't mean to damage anything. Sometimes damage comes from soft words," Varine said, "not weapons. And sometimes soft words fix what weapons break," Liam replied. The old Alari didn't answer. He just kept walking. Later that night, Queen Silvara stood alone in her private room, looking out at the stars. Her thoughts were full of questions. Was she making a mistake? Was Liam truly different? Or was she just tired of being cold? Her hand touched the pendant Liam had made from a garden stone. He had given it to her after their first meeting, saying, "Humans call this a lucky charm." She didn't believe in luck, but she kept it anyway. A soft voice pulled her from her thoughts. "Sylvie," she turned to see Liam at her door, breathless. "I know I wasn't supposed to leave, but I heard someone talking about you, about removing you." Her eyes narrowed. "What did you hear?" "Someone said if you grow too soft, the Empire will replace you." She stepped closer. "Did they say names?" He nodded. "No, but I think it's close. Someone in the court doesn't want peace." She stared at him for a long moment. Then she whispered, "You may have just saved my life, sweetie." Liam smiled, just trying to return the favor. Queen Silvara stood in the middle of the private chamber, her silver eyes locked on Liam. His words still echoed in her mind. Someone said if you grow too soft, the Empire will replace you. She had known this risk from the moment she smiled. In public. But now, the threat was real. Someone inside her court wanted her gone. Not because she was weak, but because she was changing. "You've done well to bring this to me," she said calmly, though her heart was heavy. Liam nodded. "I didn't want to break rules, but it felt urgent. You were right to come." She moved toward a panel on the wall and pressed a glowing crystal. A soft hum filled the room, sealing it with a privacy field. "Listen carefully, Liam," she said. "What you told me confirms what I feared. If the court sees me as unfit, they can push for the ancient trial, a leadership challenge. Like the vote, no. It is older than votes. It is a test. The queen must prove her strength in front of the High Council, both in mind and in presence. If I fail, they will name another." Liam frowned. "Do you know who's behind this?" "No. But Lord Varine has shown signs. His words have been sharp lately. His eyes watch me closely." Liam sat down, worried. "So what can we do?" "We plan, carefully, the next day." Queen Silvara entered the main council chamber again, but this time with purpose. The nobles stood at attention, their expressions tense. "A threat has been found," she said. "A breach in the communication wing, and whispers of rebellion." Lord Varine kept his face calm. "That is troubling. Perhaps your highness has allowed too many changes to fast." "You suggest I am to blame?" she asked, voice cool. "Not blame, Majesty," he said. "Only a concern." She looked at him directly. "Then let us remove all concern. Call for the ancient trial." The chamber gasped. Lord Varine blinked. "You wish to prove yourself?" "Yes," she said. "Let the council see my strength. Not by hiding, but by standing firm. The trial will begin tomorrow." Liam, who watched from the shadows, felt a chill. He had read about the trial in the records. It was brutal, and failure meant the queen would lose everything. When he returned to his quarters, the queen met him privately. "You're going through with it?" he asked. "Yes, and I will need your help." "Me? What can I do? You know how I've changed." "Remind me of that. Remind me why softness is not weakness." "I want to stand before them not as the cold ruler they expect, but as someone stronger than they've ever seen." Liam smiled. though his hands were shaking. Then let's show them. The next morning, the trial began in the high chamber. It was built into the mountain stone. Wide and echoing, golden firelight lit the room. The 12 council members sat in a circle. Nobles and high commanders stood along the edges, whispering, "Queen." Silvara entered wearing ceremonial armor, but no crown. Her face was calm. Her long hair was tied back. Beside her stood Liam, dressed in simple diplomat robes, unarmed but unshaken. The trial had 3 parts: the test of mind, the test of truth, and the test of presence. First came the test of mind. She was asked to answer deep questions about policy, war, peace, and trade. She passed each one with clear, sharp answers. Her voice didn't shake. Her facts were flawless. Next came the test of truth. A device was placed on her hand, glowing with red light. She was asked if she ever felt doubt, if she had ever wanted to give up. The court expected her to say no, but she said yes. "I have doubted myself," she said. "I have wished to leave this weight behind, but I chose to stay, because this empire needs a leader who understands both strength and pain." The red light turned green. Many nobles lowered their heads. They had never heard her speak so honestly. Last came the test of presence. She stood alone in the center, and every council member approached her one by one, asking her questions, challenging her words, even insulting her. She remained still, calm, unshaken. Lord Varine was the last. He walked slowly around her. "You have changed," he said. "We all see it. You smile. You laugh. You let a human speak to you in a way that would shame your ancestors. And yet, you say this is strength." "Yes," she replied. "Prove it." She turned to face the court. Her voice rose. "Strength is not just cold commands or fear. Strength is choosing to open your heart even when it risks pain. I am still the same queen who led armies, but now I am more, because I let myself feel. And that is something you cannot take from me." The room went silent. Lord Varine stared at her, then slowly bowed. "Then you have passed." The council, one by one, stood and bowed. The nobles followed. Liam stood in the back, his chest full of pride. Silvara walked toward him. "You helped me remember who I wanted to be. I just reminded you," he said softly. "You did the rest." She smiled, and the court saw it proudly this time, and no one called her weak. After the trial ended, the palace felt different, for the first time in many years. Queen Silvara walked through the great halls without being seen, only as a ruler. Nobles greeted her with both respect and curiosity. Even her oldest advisors lowered their voices when speaking to her. No one dared question her strength now, but they also didn't know what to make of the kindness she showed. Silvara had become something new, something rare, and the court could feel it. As for Liam, he found himself no longer treated like a guest but like someone important. Alari nobles invited him to meals, asked questions about Earth, and even requested advice. Most of the time, he simply smiled and nodded. He didn't understand half the politics, but he did understand people, and he understood Silvara more than anyone else. One evening, the queen sent him a short message: "Come to the Star Terrace at nightfall." When he arrived, the stars above were glowing brighter than usual. The terrace was quiet, open to the sky, with only 2 chairs and a low table between them. Silvara sat there waiting, dressed in soft robes instead of armor. "You're not wearing your crown," Liam said. "Tonight, I'm not a queen," she replied. "Tonight, I'm just Sylvie." He sat across from her. "Then I'm just Liam." They shared a smile. "You look calm," he said. "I am," she replied, "for the first time in a long while. I feel like I can breathe." He nodded. "I'm glad. The council accepted my change," she said. "But I still feel the need to show them that kindness is not something temporary. They're watching me, every word, every step. You don't have to act anymore." Liam said, "You already proved yourself." "Yes, but now I want to live it." A light breeze passed between them. Silvara looked up at the stars. "Tell me, Liam," she said softly, "what is Earth really like?" He smiled. "Messy, loud, colorful, full of mistakes, but also full of second chances. People argue, laugh, fall in love, and eat too much. That sounds alive. It is. She looked at him for a long moment. I would like to visit it one day. He nodded. I'll take you to the ocean first. It's calm, endless, and always moving, like emotions, she said. He laughed. Exactly. The next morning, rumors started spreading across the empire. The queen was seen laughing. The human walks beside her without guards. She called him by name. Not titled. In the halls. Nobles whispered. In the cities. People wondered. In the shadows, Lord Varine watched. He did not speak a word, but his eyes narrowed. The queen had passed the trial, yes, but now her heart was open and hearts could be broken. Meanwhile, Queen Silvara began to change small things in her rule. She invited young voices to speak in council. She created spaces for art and storytelling. In the palace, she made kindness part of law without removing strength. And every time someone questioned it, she pointed to the trial and said, "Was that not strong enough for you?" Slowly, the empire began to shift. Liam continued to stand by her side, not as a guard or lover, but as someone she trusted, someone who reminded her of who she wanted to be. But inside him, something deeper was growing. He started to feel nervous around her again, not because of her power, but because he cared. More than before, every smile she gave him, every time she called him Liam, his heart beat faster. He didn't know what to do with those feelings. She was a queen. He was a man from Earth. This wasn't a fairy tale. But sometimes it felt like one. One afternoon, they walked together through the garden. The queen bent down to touch a flower that only bloomed during moonlight. This flower was bred to bloom alone, she said. But now, with the right warmth, it opens even in the sun. Liam looked at her. Just like you. She looked up, surprised, but smiling. He took a breath. Sylvie, can I ask you something strange? You may. Do you ever think about something more? Beyond talks and peace deals? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stood up and faced him. Every night since you called me sweetie. Liam felt his face heat up. You remember that? I remember how it made me feel. Not just the word. The way you said it, like I was a person. Like I was special. He took a step closer. You are. They stood there, in the middle of the glowing garden, not speaking. Then she said, gently, on my world. The queen does not choose love. Love must choose her. Liam looked into her eyes. Then let it choose. For a moment, they just stood there. Then she reached out and touched his hand, not as a queen, but as Sylvie. The palace was quiet that night, but danger was near. Queen Silvara and Liam stood together in the starlit garden, hands still touching. The bond between them had grown stronger, more than friendship, but not yet fully spoken. They didn't hear the soft footsteps behind the bushes. Lord Varine and a few loyal nobles had gathered, their faces grim. This cannot continue, Varine whispered. The queen is too close to the human. Her rule is weakening. One of the nobles nodded. We must act before the empire falls apart. The next morning, the queen was called to the council once again. But this time, it was not about trials or speeches. Your Majesty, Lord Varine began, his voice cold. There's evidence of treason among your closest advisors. Silvara's eyes narrowed. Show me. A guard brought forward a small datapad. On it were messages and plans to overthrow the queen, to replace her with a more traditional ruler. This is serious. The queen said. Who is behind this? Some council members, Varine said. They believe your kindness and your friendship with the human are dangerous. Liam stepped forward. I have lived among your people. I have seen the strength behind your kindness. It is not weakness, it is courage. The room fell silent. We will find those responsible, Silvara said firmly, and justice will be served. That night, the palace was on high alert. Liam stayed by Silvara's side, ready for whatever might come. Suddenly, alarms blared. Attack, a guard shouted. Shadows moved in the hall's masked figures. With weapons. Silvara grabbed Liam's arm. We must protect the empire and each other. They fought side by side, moving swiftly through the palace corridors. Liam was surprised at Silvara's strength. She was fierce, but not cruel. Every strike was calculated, defending, not destroying. They reached the council chamber just as the attackers tried to break in. With the guards, they stopped the rebels. Varine was among them. Shocked to see the queen and Liam united in battle. This empire belongs to those who protect it, not those who fear change, Silvara said, her voice strong. After the battle, the queen stood before the court. This was a test, she said, not only of strength but of loyalty. Those who betrayed us are banished, and the empire will stand united stronger than ever. She turned to Liam. You stood with me when it mattered most. I am grateful. He smiled. We stood together. The court erupted in applause. Days later, the empire began to change. Trade with Earth increased. New ideas were shared, and the queen's kindness became a symbol of hope, not weakness. Liam and Silvara spent more time together, learning from each other. One evening, under the stars, Silvara looked at Liam. I was afraid once, she said. Afraid that showing kindness would make me lose everything. But you didn't, Liam said. No. Because I found strength in being myself. He took her hand gently. Sylvie, whatever happens, know this: you're not alone. She smiled softly. Thank you, Liam, for seeing me. The galaxy watched as the Alari Empire changed. Some were surprised. Some were hopeful. But one thing was clear: the queen, who was once frozen by a single word, had melted walls and built bridges. And Liam, the human who called her sweetie, became more than a diplomat. He became part of her story. Their bond showed the galaxy that strength could be gentle and kindness could be powerful. And in the vast stars above, a new future shone bright.